Wednesday. It is 7 o'clock. It means it's time for another Wednesday weekly workshop where you get to ask Drew anything for the 142nd time. Oh, it feels right. I'm Drew. I'm the owner here at 3D Wellness, and I'm also a clinician with more than 17 years of clinical experience helping people get healthier safely and naturally. And every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, I go live to answer all your questions. But I couldn't do it alone. So I'm joined by the incomparable Two Boots Lori LeClaire.
And we appreciate you tuning in.
So, ask some questions. We'll get you some answers.
Mm-hmm.
You can start chatting those questions in right here on YouTube. And if you don't want to chat them in, here's our phone number. Give us a call. Take your call live on the air. And I've said that a whole bunch of times throughout the years. I get to say years.
Yes, years now.
That doesn't mean we're putting you on speakerphone for the world to hear you and your question. It just means we'll take down your question and get you some answers. At least get you some ideas if we don't have answers. What we always like to start with here, we do this every week as we talk about what we've seen in the last week here in clinic. Tonight I'm doing something all about quotations. I also got to remind you, we have this big drive on Instagram to get up to 1,000 followers on Instagram. That's what we need to be allowed to go back onto Instagram Live. We used to stream live to both platforms at the same time. Instagram changed the rules. So please, please, as much as you can, tell the people in your life about us who have Instagram accounts and ask them to follow us on Instagram. We have different content over there. It means the world to us every time somebody starts following us on Instagram or subscribing to us on YouTube. So thank you. This week at 3D, I got a bunch of quotes from clients this week. First one, I feel my body using water better. This was a gentleman I actually just saw today. And at the start of his program, because he has an engineering background, he wanted everything to be very precise and very analytical and very thoroughly explained. You probably know who I'm talking about, too. Today in his consult, now that we're about 7 months into his program, he was able to report a number of things had in fact improved, despite us not being hyper analytical. And one of them was when he drinks water, he actually feels like it's getting put to use in his body better. That's a great feeling. My tight calves aren't waking me up. And if you've ever been woken up from a sound sleep because of a muscle cramp, you probably feel this quote in your soul. This client was waking up because the cramps in the calves were so ferocious they couldn't sleep through it. They were those cramps where you have to get out of bed and start to actually stretch them out to get them to release. All we used was the things determined by their hair analysis that they were imbalanced in. We got those things balanced, and all of a sudden they're doing way better. Do I hear butts and seats walking?
Yep, here comes one.
Nice.
Hey.
All right, next quote was, your fish oil stopped my neck stiffness. I like that one. I'm not sure it was official. Hey, butts and seats, welcome. I'm not sure it was just the fish oil, but this year we have a lot of focus on making sure that people have a good ratio in their body of omega-3s, which are a lot of the healthy fats, very anti-inflammatory, versus the other types of fats that can be inside of the body. And this is one client that did the omega test that we have here. And after we started to modify their fat intake based off of their test results, all of a sudden they're just sailing. No more neck stiffness. I like this one. My doctor approved of your supplements.
Yay!
Right? We hear that more nowadays than we used to hear. But what's interesting is in our modern world, every doctor's office has a computer connected to the internet. So what I've heard more probably in the last year and a half than before that is our clients walk in and they have their supplement schedule, because we're not hiding anything we do here. There's nothing mysterious about what we do here. And they walk in and it's got our contact info and the name of the supplement, the amounts we take, and a little blurb at the bottom of the page that says, hey, Spanish black radish was clinically proven to help livers, and it's a good source of MSM, et cetera, et cetera. This client walked into their doctor's office, showed them that piece of paper. They said, I've heard of this supplement company, but I don't know these supplements. They went on their computer and looked it up. She said after about 5 minutes of scrolling through the different supplements, they turned around and said, I don't see anything wrong. Go ahead and take them. Mm-hmm. The way forward, I said this a few weeks ago, the way forward is all of us coming together. Mm-hmm. So it's really encouraging when there's a doctor who is taking the time to look at the supplements and not assume that they are all the same. That would be like saying all doctors are the same or all prescriptions are the same. They're not. This is a fun one. I like to end on a good laugh. What's making me poop better? Well, it's absolutely the combination of things that helps the bowels function. But in this case, a lovely little herb called fenugreek. And I'm going to talk about it for just a minute here while we get some chats rolling in. All right, there is a lovely, lovely plant called fenugreek. And it is mucus membrane support. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward. Your mucous membranes, you got a whole bunch of them inside of your body. Your ears, all right, let's go north to south. Your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your throat, your entire digestive tract, your genitals. A lot of you has mucous membrane. Okay, a big portion of your body is a mucous membrane. So this client came in and they had a history of HX means history, sinus issues, history of dry eyes, history of heavy earwax, as in large production, and slow bowels. So, in my clinical experience, I've seen this before. Those 4 areas are all mucous membranes, so my brain is immediately going, what kind of mucous membrane support can I get to this client to help their body function better? So while the fenugreek wasn't the only thing that I was giving them, it was absolutely the thing targeted at helping their mucous membranes. The one that I use comes mixed with okra. And remember that this combo has been studied and proven to help bind to microplastics. A few years ago, I was making videos about microplastics, and I would get feedback from people who said, is it really that big of a deal? And I said, yeah, I think it's that big of a deal because the study I pointed to in the very first microplastics video I ever made, which I think was like 4 or 5 years ago now, pointed out that they found microplastics in the lower lung tissue of cadavers. For microplastic to make it to the bottom of the lungs, there are a lot of filters before the bottom of the lungs. So in my brain, I was like, yep, they're really penetrating the body. This is, in fact, a big deal. And nowadays, we know that they're finding microplastics not just in lung tissues, but they're finding it in sperm samples at sperm banks. They're finding it in breast tissue. They're finding it in brain tissue. It's in us. So anytime we can take a combination of natural things, this herb, this vegetable, and it's going to help our body deal with microplastics safely, that's a great thing. And at the same time, helps those mucosal membranes. So what's making me poop better is taking care of your mucous membranes safely and naturally.
American cheese on there still has microplastic.
That's gross to hear that American cheese has microplastics in it. Yeah, American cheese is so different from so many other cheeses. Texture, flavor, appearance. Yeah. Questions?
Nothing is rolling in on YouTube, but I do have some cards from our lobby.
Yeah, right on.
Questions submitted by our clients.
Good.
Would you like me to read them off, or would you like to have it?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Here's the first one.
First one, why is Premier pink salt better than others on the market? Does price mean quality? No, price does not always mean quality. That's an easy one. Oh man, as a guitarist, this guitar indie that I'm playing tonight was $800, and you get to throw stuff at me, remember? And is absolutely better quality than a lot of guitars that are $400 or $500 more than that. So price does not mean quality. I'm going to dork out about Premier Pink Salt for a little while here, and I'm going to use the pink marker to do it. It seems appropriate. All right, so the supplement company here is called PRL. That stands for Premier Research Labs. They make a number of different supplements. We carry some of them here. And they make a pink salt. When you look really close at the label, Two Boots, would you tell me, is that focusing at all
It might.
on the numbers?
Ooh, it's really small.
Okay. I'm just going to write them on the board then. So when we look at the serving size on the label here, it says 600 milligrams is one serving size. Okay. The sodium content inside of one serving size is 230 milligrams. So if we do some quick math, that tells us that 370 milligrams is not sodium. This is such a big deal because most salt products on the market are way more sodium per serving. The part of this, the 370 milligrams, or let's say almost 2/3 of it, is not sodium. It's other trace minerals. That's part of the reason we see such a nice color to it. There's minerals other than sodium in here. And those minerals act as a check and balance for the action of sodium in your body. A lot of people, when they take in too much salt, they say, oh, that messes my blood pressure. It causes water retention. It causes bloating. But actually, they're taking in a junk form of sodium that doesn't have the checks and balances in it. It's usually from very processed food or from dining out at restaurants that aren't using sea salt. Our clients that use this salt don't typically experience any of the water retention, the blood pressure issues, the bloating, the common sodium side effects, because so much of this is not sodium. Now, that's just to make sure that you're healthy while you're using the salt. What's also nice is all these non-sodium minerals that are in here also give it a much better flavor. So clients come in and they go, I didn't think salt could really taste good. But this has its own flavor to it. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This on a hard-boiled egg makes any hard-boiled egg on earth taste way better. There are absolutely other salts in the world that are not just sodium or not mostly sodium. Just that this one happens to be one of the best in terms of the non-sodium content. And there's no filler in here. So that 370 milligrams of not sodium, it's not filler, it's just other minerals. So that's why it's better than others. Because when you just look at the numbers, what's it made out of, you see that this one has more of the goods.
Speaking of plastic, they do their best to air jet out as much of microplastics as possible.
You're talking about PRL? Yeah, love that.
People have searched it and then, test it for stuff.
Yeah. Premier Research Labs, the company that makes that salt, is aware of the plastics issue in the world and is doing things to mitigate that. All the power to them. You look like you had a nice pile of cards there, too.
I have another one for you.
Right on.
Here you go.
Okay. Different handwriting. How much deep sleep do we need, and how can we make sure we get enough? Two Boots, and the Top Shelf and Royal. Would you please get me Why We Sleep?
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk about this book enough. Everybody needs to read it or audiobook it, however you take in literature. Since it's not a supplement, please don't throw it at me.
All right. Here you go.
Worst paper cut of my life. Thank you. All right. This book, Why We Sleep, really excellent. The author has his PhD in studying sleep. Really great book. I'm going to reference what I learned from the author to answer this question. And I'm going to go back to my undergrad freshman year when we took, because I was a music ed major my freshman and sophomore year at Valparaiso University, we had to take child psychology. Because if you were going to teach kids, their education program had you study the brain, the emotional well-being, the development of the kiddos. And part of that was sleep. So I'm going to reference that too. So deep sleep. All right, so it should occur in 2 parts each night. What we really want to get is, so let's go 7 to 8 hours of total sleep time. There we go. And what we want to see is that there's a 4-hour segment and a 4-hour segment. In between them, it can be up to 1 hour. So let's talk about that part first before we really get into the deep sleep aspect. If we go back 1,000 years, if we go back 2,000 years, if we go back even 150 years, so relatively recently, okay? Humans would fall asleep, they'd wake up during the middle of the night, and they had to do this task in order to ensure survival. Any guesses, Two Boots?
Breathe.
No, they breathed all night. Any guesses?
Look out for predators.
You got it.
What?
They had to stoke the fire for 2 reasons. Either they were in a cold climate, they didn't want to freeze, or the fire kept the lion, tiger, bear, predator away. Okay?
Okay.
So it is ingrained in us because for a long time, humans would fall asleep, they'd wake up to stoke the fire, check on their neighbor, right? Make sure everything's good at the perimeter of the camp, village, town, whatever, and then get back to sleep. There's old reports, forgetting what book I read this in now, but they found old medical journals after World War II in a part of the city that hadn't been totally destroyed by bombing. And what the journals said, the doctor said, patient came in, they find that their sleep is better ever since their neighbor came over to have tea with them during the night. Now, this wasn't pre-bed tea. This was they woke up during the middle of the night, that natural break between the 2 phases of sleep. And it was nice that the neighbor went over and checked on the other neighbor. And then they would put on a pot of tea, visit for a little while, and go back to sleep. Doesn't sound so bad. So the first thing about deep sleep that I want to point out, if you wake up once during the night and you fall back asleep within an hour, that's not a big deal. Okay?
Okay.
That's the first thing. You wake up once, you didn't really disrupt anything in particular. Of each 4-hour session, we want to get to a phase in it. It's usually past the halfway point called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And we want that to take place from anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes. We want that to happen twice. In each one of these phases of approximately 4-hour periods of sleep, your brain waves are doing different things leading into the REM sleep to get you to that really deep restorative sleep. That means the total deep sleep for a night is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's the total deep sleep we should be hitting for a night to make sure that we're getting good stuff from sleep. You can hit 2 windows of REM sleep with that interruption in the middle, no problem. That interruption does not negatively influence your body's ability to get back to REM sleep afterwards. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So we want to get 7 to 8 hours. It's totally normal to wake up once. In those 2 big sections of sleep, a very relatively short part of it, 40 to 60 minutes, is the really deep sleep. The things before that our body is doing lead to that deep sleep. And that 1 hour interruption doesn't mess with that. If you have more questions about sleep, I strongly recommend reading Why We Sleep. It's well written. It's not a science textbook. It's not a medical textbook. It's well written. And how can we make sure we get enough? Oh, that's a great second part to the question. The term, I believe, is sleep hygiene. 2 Boots, I'm going to need you on this one.
Sure.
Hygiene? Or is it E?
I think that looks right to me.
Right on.
Yeah.
Sleep hygiene. So I'm really big on something I do is my pre-bed routine. 2 weekends ago, I got to go to Nashville to present. Hopefully, you heard me talk about it on last week's Wednesday Weekly. It was great. My pre-bed routine is really standardized. It gets a little messed up when I go on the road because part of my pre-bed routine is taking my dog outside to go to the bathroom one last time before sleep. I've done this for as long as I've had dogs. When I'm on the road, my dog doesn't travel with me, mostly because he refused to get in the suitcase. What is that? Jerk, right? No biscuit for you. I'm joking. Mostly. All right, so pre-bed routine, it starts with, oh, you know what it really starts with is start time goal,
Mm.
not a sleep by goal. What do I mean by that? Too many people say, I'm going to be asleep by 10:30. And then if they don't hit that goal, they get discouraged or they get worked up or their mind starts to race about how they couldn't do it, all those sorts of things. The goal is not to be asleep by a certain time, as far as I'm concerned. The goal is to start getting ready for bed at a consistent time. And this pre bed routine will teach your body to fall asleep more easily. So I want you to get away, if you're doing this, I want you to get away from the idea that you will be asleep by fill in the blank time. Instead, I want you to focus on, I'm going to start getting ready for bed at this time and take the pressure off of it. You can floss a little extra long if you want to. You can do that extra 30-second cycle on your toothbrush. Does your toothbrush buzz when you're supposed to switch sections? You do that extra time. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gums are so healthy. Okay. But we want to get away from rushing that stuff. Our whole life is rushed, right? We have so many things to do and places to be. Our goal is just to start getting ready for bed at a certain time, not to be asleep by a certain time. So when I start my pre-bed routine, it goes like this every night. Dog out, Mintran in. That means I take some Mintran before sleep, really helps me sleep. Dog out, Mintran in. Teeth get brushed, flossed, toilet, skin brushing, reading. Obviously, when I travel, dog going out gets removed. But here is what has happened. I've been doing this for probably 12 or 13 or 15 years. Mintran in, teeth, toilet, skin brushing, reading. That's when I'm actually physically in bed. That's the first time I get in bed. Actually, all of these things happen in the bathroom. The Mintran lives in the bathroom in the drawer. Yeah. It's one of a couple of bottles of Mintran that are always in my immediate proximity. It's a really good supplement. Anyways, when I'm on the road, it's all the same things that I'm doing. I lay down in bed to read, and I can maybe get 5 minutes of reading in before I'm turning off that light because my eyelids are heavy, like they're weighted.
Mhm.
And it's wonderful because I can go, years ago, family member who had a health challenge had to go to the hospital suddenly, and I was able to go and travel and actually stay in the hospital room with them overnight to comfort them. And I still slept well despite the lights and the noises and the whole hospital vibe, because I still Mintran teeth, toilets, skin brushing, reading. I was just waiting for one of the nurses to walk in the bathroom as I was doing my skin brushing. And like, what is he doing? Never mind that. I'm going to get a good night of sleep. Okay. When I travel for work and I'm staying in a hotel, if I'm visiting a buddy, if I'm road tripping, I keep this routine the same. And I'm never focused on when I'm going to fall asleep by, only that I start my routine consistently. And the order is the same. So by the time I get to reading, maybe 5 minutes, and I'm going to sleep, and I'm hitting this goal. I usually don't wake up during the night. Um, I guess I don't have to worry about the fire. And yeah, and then I wake up feeling good.
So if you don't wake up for that 1 hour, do you just sleep right straight through? But there, you still have the 2 REM cycles going on, even if
Correct.
you don't wake up, right?
At the end of that's a great question. At the end of the REM cycle, the brain waves will reset to a certain degree
Mhm.
and then progress back to another REM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
That was a good question.
Good to know.
I don't recognize the handwriting on it either.
Mm. Oh, I think I know who this one is. There's no chats rolling in YouTube, so we
No?
got
Okay.
another one from the box.
Sure. It's not even an official card.
Yeah.
Suggestions to reduce or eliminate brain fog. Absolutely. Oh, man. Yeah. Brain fog is the scourge of many a person. What color haven't I used tonight?
Purple.
Purple. I almost said that's Nora's color and I can't use it. I wonder if Nora's watching. Shout out to Nora. All right, brain fog. There are many causes of brain fog. Holy smackers. Some really common ones are going to be adrenal dysfunction. It's probably the most common one that I see. The next most common one is going to be blood sugar management issues. Um, Lack of good fat or digestion of those good fats. The body just might not be breaking those things down the right way. And actually, lower on the list is actually the need for brain nourishment. So let's go through these. When it comes to adrenals, when they are the primary driver of the person's brain fog, the first thing I talk to that person about is not stress, but rather their stress response. The way we respond to stress is so important. There's always going to be stress there. There's going to be a reason for us to experience stress. But then we have to choose how we're going to experience that stress. We have to look at it from the viewpoint of the stress is here because I care about whatever the topic is. If you don't care about something, there's no stress about it, right? Like, Lori, respectfully, I don't care about your shoelaces. Okay. I'm completely neutral on the topic of Lori's shoelaces. Therefore, I'm not going to have a big stress response about it. My shoelaces are a bigger deal to me because they affect me directly. But I'm still going to choose to be calm and mellow about whatever's going on with my shoelaces. Okay. They are both tied right now. You can just trust that they're okay. So we want to make sure that our stress response is good because there's always going to be something to stress about. If you feel like when stress shows up, you just immediately jump to some stuff like worst case scenario, or I'm not ready for this, or I don't have a plan in place for this, so I'm not going to be okay. If you do a little bit of the doom and gloom stuff, I want you to look at a supplement that's called Cataplex B2. Really great soothing brain nourishment, really good for the adrenal glands as well. There's a really popular supplement from Standard Process called Drenamin, and one of the main ingredients in Drenamin is Cataplex B2. Blood sugar issues. Here's something a lot of people don't know. Here's a human. Let's call him Tomas. Pretty happy little human right there. Fun fact about all of us, Tomas included, if we draw a line right at the chin, okay, right there, every day of your life, from your neck down, uses as many calories every single day as from your neck up does.
Wow.
Your brain is doing so many things at such an incredible rate that it needs just as much fuel as your entire body combined. With that in mind, one of the biggest drivers of brain fog is people don't have a stable fuel supply going to their brain because their blood sugar levels are irregular. It's not enough protein, or it's not enough fat, or it's too many carbs, or it's erratic eating, or it's eating in a stressed out state because they're rushing to the next thing. So, one of the best things you can do for this is to make sure that you are getting protein at every meal and snack. That's the most basic. Build your meals around your protein source, build your snacks around your protein source. Start with the meat stick, start with the protein bar, the possible protein bars that we have here, for example. Um, Start with the chicken breast, the piece of salmon, the steak, the eggs. Start with the protein source when you're building your snacks and meals. That'll help stabilize the blood sugar for the sake of brain fog. The lack of fat or good digestion. If anybody ever called you a fathead and trying to make it an insult, your brain is actually mostly made out of fat. So they were just like accurately anatomically describing your brain. So every time they're like, "Hey, fathead," be like, "Yeah." That would be like, "Hey, skin wearer." Like, yeah, that's all of us. Okay. What we want to make sure is that we're getting plenty of omega 3s. And we are working on a new handout here in the office on omega 3s. It'll probably be about 2 weeks before it's done, but then we can send it out to you. You can shoot us an email if you want a copy of that handout. We'll put you on the list. And to really make sure that you are digesting your good fats, even if you're already eating salmon and eggs and grass fed beef, good sources of fat, you might want to supplement with something called AF beta food, because it helps your body break down those fats and actually get all the benefits from fully breaking them apart and absorbing them. And then brain nourishment. Man, there's a lot of things the brain needs. There's B vitamins for the brain, there's magnesium need in the brain, there's calcium need in the brain, there's vitamin C need in the brain. There's a lot of nutrients that the brain needs. Uh, but one of the most overlooked nutrients for the sake of brain power is iodine. And I know you and I have had conversations about that plenty of times, especially in kiddos. When kiddos get plenty of iodine, they absolutely do better cognitively. Iodine is from seaweed. You can get it in some cooked vegetables, but they're relatively low amounts. Here's a couple of supplement ideas. Our beloved Mintran is a really good source, and organically bound minerals, which I spoke about last week, is another really good source of iodine, because these are food sources of iodine. They aren't isolates, they aren't synthetic. It's kelp and alfalfa that's been concentrated, and you get a nice dose of iodine from it. So, for the sake of brain fog, I would consider there can be one of these or multiple of these causes influencing the performance of the brain. check your stress response, make sure you're getting plenty of protein, make sure you're digesting your nutrients, and get yourself some iodine for the sake of your brain. Kelly asked that question. Kelly, let me know if this answered it for you. I'm always happy to expand on any one of these in greater detail. Yeah, fire away.
If you're getting on that.
Yep.
When would you add herbs? Is there like indication beyond muscle testing?
That's a killer question. The question was, let's say you're already checking these boxes. When would you add in herbs? Yeah, I'd be checking with the client. If they're grooving on all these things, their brain still isn't quite. I'd probably add the herbs, just like step up the game. The presentation I gave in October of 2024 was 6 hours on herbs for brain performance. I would delve into that with the client. One of the perks of me having all these slide decks that I present to other doctors, like to doctors, is that I am using these slide decks in the room with the client as well to say, like, hey, it sounds like you got some brain fog stuff going on. Here's a couple of options. Let's talk about them together. The herbs for brain stuff are really powerful. They will absolutely jump you out of a rut. I do use them later compared to some other stuff. It's all about how the client is doing. If they're doing this stuff and they're still having some trouble, that's when I'm looking at the Bacopa, the Ginkgo, the Gotukola, when I start to look at those herbs. Answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Right on. Skull cap, that's another good one for brain performance.
Kelly says thanks.
You're very welcome. That's a good question. We have 4 clients named Kelly, and none of them spell it the same way.
That's true.
I get a really big kick out of that. There's I's and there's E's and there's X,
Wise
yeah,
and
right? Like
yeah.
I love that. I get a kick out of that.
All
Did any
right.
questions roll in?
No.
Okay. The rules are we stay here until there aren't any more questions. What I'll go over is that this Saturday we have a presentation coming up.
Mhm.
Very excited about it. I went absolutely hog wild with references for this one because we're talking about beauty care toxins. I am going to bother some people with the info on this one. All right. Beauty care toxins. It's this Saturday, which is March 14th, 10 a.m., right here at 3D Wellness in the classroom.
Mhm.
It's where we live stream from. It's where we give the bulk of our presentations from. Just so everybody knows, these second Saturday of the month presentations and third Thursdays of the month, my goal with all of them is to keep the content that I am preparing and then teaching is only about 25 minutes worth of content. I really don't want this to feel like a lecture, like it's this big drawn out thing. And that also gives us time for plenty of questions during and at the end of these presentations. So my goal for this Saturday is to spend about 25 minutes pointing out some ingredients that we commonly see in different beauty care products. I'm not sure they're really caring for people. And we can identify them and understand why we want to avoid them. And then we can also talk about companies that provide healthy, junk-free beauty care products. It's the first in a series of 4 presentations on toxins and common things. The Saturday is beauty care. Next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, is home cleaning and home care toxins. So how you clean in your toilet and your dishes and your laundry and how to avoid junk and all that. 4-part series. We're covering all sorts of toxins starting this Saturday. Okay. I'm going to use my handy dandy looper pedal to play us out of here. As always, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, let's hear some music.
I was gonna do the rest I can. I mean, I'm sure. Experience.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.